he's there now.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Bauer, it's good to have you join us here again. It's election day. You've been preparing. You told us you've deployed your men on the field to deter those who want to buy or sell votes. What are you hearing? What do we know now?
Well, our men have been going around since yesterday, and one of the things that they were able to see on the field is that a lot of people have started since yesterday night, trying to buy votes in kind, distributing food items, distributing materials to wire, brocade, and all of that since yesterday. The challenge we were having yesterday is whether or not we can go ahead and effect arrest, because you can't preempt what somebody is going to do, by distributing, items that he has, So we have been going around since yesterday, but the information that we have as of today is the fact that a lot of these politicians are heading on trying to influence voters with cash and in kind. But this morning too, we're all over the place.
So the cash that you have found, are they the old notes or the new notes? I don't know which is more profitable right now for anyone.
Well, it's the new notes that we were able to seize yesterday.
So
day before yesterday.
How many arrests have you made, and to what tune of amount do you have now as the latest?
Well, I don't have the number as of now. As I said, our men are all over the place. Our situation room downstairs is, doing all of that. But I think one of the things that we did yesterday in Kaduna, I think, distinguished itself, because we arrested a lady with about 18 voters' cards that she claimed to have already bought. She's waiting for the people to ensure that they are at the polling unit this morning to ensure that they voted for the candidate that she, secured the votes for. And a lot of things, of course, is coming out of the lady that we arrested in Kaduna, and several other, covert operations that we did yesterday that is giving us intelligence on what we expect today, this morning on the field.
Mr. Barr, it's good that you and your team are out there monitoring the elections and effecting the arrests that you're effecting. And you mentioned the interception of over 30 million naira in new notes, you said. But then the question that we've asked in the studio here is, from the primaries, you were there monitoring the primaries, both in Abuja and around the country. Were there any arrests made from those primaries? Were there any persecutions in court going on at the moment, for instance?
You see, let me clear this, impression out there. You see, there is a mandate of prevention. There's a mandate of enforcement. The mere fact that our men are there will tend to prevent a lot of things that ordinarily could have happened if we are not there. Now, these are some of the intangible things that you don't see in the number of arrests that are made, in the number of subsequent prosecution that will be made. Now, in the event that, yes, that it graduated from the preventive point of view to that of enforcement, then that is when you expect arrest, and that is when you expect, a prosecution. So we need to get this thing clear. The fact that our men are out there, they are preventing a lot of things that, is as important as making the arrest and subsequent prosecution. So this point needs to be understood by Nigerians, as well as journalists like you, to be able to educate people. The issues of crime prevention, crime fighting is not all about arrest and prosecution. The preventive aspect is very important. And that is why when a lot of things are going on normally, people will begin to wonder what is going on. Why are they not arresting? Why are they not prosecuting? What is going on? But that there is that preventive mandate that the EFCC is also working on tirelessly together with other law enforcement agencies.
So speaking about educating people, if you were to perhaps catch somebody giving another person money on election day around the polling unit, and would you arrest him? And if you do, what part of the EFCC Act would the person have contravened?
Well, if you see something happening in that way, our mandate has to do with the issue of money laundering. And now, what is the source of the funds? Why are you coming out to do this? Because politicians that have, politicians that have gotten, donations, it is expected that they use them for logistics. So we are concerned about the source of the money. We are also concerned about the act itself, what you use it for. But there is no, of course, clear-cut, law in the EFCC or section in the EFCC that an act in itself, is an offense. So that is our mandate, and that also needs to be understood and be clear about.
So, what if it was 10,000 naira? Would this be money laundering?
Yes, of course. There is no threshold in as much as the source of the funds is illegitimate.
Oh, okay, because
it's not about the issue of a threshold of cash transaction now, which is contrary to Section 2, that individuals are expected to consummate transaction above 5 million through the financial institutions. Anything below that, if it is cash, then is contrary to the provisions of money laundering. Now, for corporate bodies, it's 10 million and above. So it is not that. When it comes to the issue of laundering proceeds, it is immaterial whether it is 1 million or 100,000 or 10 naira or 10,000 naira.
Okay, so that means one has to prove first that is illegal funds. And secondly, what if the person says, he's a friend, this is just for him to go and buy a recharge card, we're in the same compound and family? Would that fly in the face of your operations?
Investigation normally reveals that people always come up with alibis, and then of course it's part of the investigative process for that alibi to be proved, either way, either right or wrong. So people can come up with all sorts of excuses, but investigation will normally, reveal the truth at the end of the day.
I know you've spoken in some other fora about what the situation is with some persons who were previously perhaps arrested with some primaries or something. But overall, would you say that your functions, operations of the EFCC going for election purposes, trying to stop money laundering or vote buying, have you been successful, and to what extent?
We have been successful. We have been successful in that regard. As I said earlier on, you need to understand it from the perspective of prevention and enforcement. And I can tell you a lot of things that we have done, behind the scene that are not ripe for us to, come out and say has actually helped. I said it yesterday, I think not on your channel, but on your, another, station, that look, the Naira redesign have helped us a great deal in the sense that, the scarcity of the Naira itself has helped tremendously in ensuring that those politicians that normally have access to a lot of funds are not having access to it now. So, naturally, if I may use that word, the issue of vote buying has reduced, tremendously in this regard. Some of these issues that we are doing, we can only maybe realize them even after the elections. You remember the 2015 general elections. It was after the 2015 general elections that the EFCC was able, to unravel the $115 million, $10,000 that was distributed, by a political party, which was converted to about 23 billion. And you know what the EFCC have done? We succeeded in tracing all of it, and a lot of prosecution, happened across the country in that regard. So we are all braced up for that kind of situation again. So we may not necessarily see it happening now or today, or tomorrow, but then afterwards, based on intelligence, based on information available, based on what we see, a lot of things can come up. And that is why we are calling on all Nigerians, to see something and say something, and they should be rest assured that the EFCC is doing something. This is not an EFCC thing. It is a Nigerian thing. You understand what I'm saying? We are doing this for Nigeria. We are doing this for our country. So every piece of information, if you have it, you can come and tell us. You may even benefit from, whistleblowing percentage if you do that.
I see what you're trying to do there. I see it, absolutely. But could you tell us, we gathered from our correspondent that they saw some of your men in Oka, Agulu, pardon me, and they were making inquiries about ballot papers, whether they had arrived or not. So, I mean, in order to clarify this, do they have any instructions from the headquarters, from you, about what to do with the arrival of ballot papers, or what is it that they have to do?
No, that has nothing to do with our mandate out there. Our mandate out there is on the issue of vote buying and money laundering incidences, if at all there is any. But then, of course, maybe they are just making inquiry to know maybe when they should come back. Because if the ballot papers have not arrived, then the election would not take place, and all of that. But then one of the primary responsibility that they have, we complement one another as security agencies. So maybe they are wondering, since they are here to monitor the elections and election has not started, they are making inquiry, what is the problem? I think the officers out there are in contact with other relevant security agencies as well as INEC. So they should be able to now tell them that, look, there's an issue here, just by way of information. We're all citizens of this country. So you need not to be a policeman or an INEC man to be able to report that, no, look, there is a situation here. You need to come and do something. And I think that is exactly what, led to my officers asking those questions in Anambra State.
I mean, although you just mentioned the percentage for whistleblowing, I'm quite interested in that because that's going to be an easy money. I want the percent.
Shewin, you need that. Maybe after getting 5% of 100 billion, you resign or you open your own station as well.
We do this job for passion, Mr. Bauer. We do this job for passion, no matter what the money is.
At times, better when the box stops on your desk, Shewin. You can see if you can rival this. You can go with some of your friends there in the studio and open, another station. We need more of channels, out there.
We'll make channels richer. That's what. So, and my guy is here. One on my right here is a businessman by birth, biologically. So he needs a lot of the money, though, too. And this man here, he doesn't need as much money. He's a man of God.
5%. 5%. Just blow the whistle.
Oh, it's 5. Okay, 5%. We know now. And I wanted to know: are you focusing only on the cash? Should there be any kind of payment, inducement in kind? There are people who go, we had a banter earlier where, my colleague was talking about taking food flask or rice and beans to the polling unit and sharing it. Could that amount to inducement?
Well, this is English. Inducement can come in cash and in kind, but as I said earlier on during this program, I told you that we have seen some incidences since yesterday night where, some people are busy distributing items, in kind, which we know that, of course, is to influence the votes. And one of the legal advice that we have in that regard is that, look, you can't just preempt. You have to wait until the action is done, or when you have a link in that regard and in that space. So it's a very tall one. It's a very complicated thing for somebody to be seen that he collected a plate of rice and he's going to vote for a candidate that the person that gave him the plate of rice wants him to vote for. But we are more concerned about cash because it is easier for us to deal with that and link it up with the provisions of our laws. But then, of course, in that instance, is for us to sit back and maybe probably ask our lawyers on what to do. They have given us advice in that regard, and we're working towards that. But it's going to be very, very difficult to.
We'll get some comments from your statement. I know naira note is one of the scarcest commodities you can think of in the country at the moment. But before I get some comments here. There are reports of some politicians who are busted by your men in Lagos. Was there any arrest made? What is the update? Are you aware of it?
Shewin, let me be immodest a bit here. Since when I came on board, we tried to, as much as possible, not to discuss cases that are still under investigation, except for cases that are already in court. So all I can tell you is that we are investigating. We said it out there yesterday strategically, just to send some message and all of that. But we are investigating, and at the right time, Nigerians will get to know about it. But what I can tell you is that arrests were made and recoveries also were made.
It was a bust based on intel, isn't it?
An ongoing investigation is still there that we are doing.
I know no matter how much I try, Mr. Bauer, you're a very good friend, but then you could be slippery with your answers sometimes. But I know there is an investigation, but was it a bust?
Investigation is, I think what matters, Shewun, is the fact that I have already confirmed to you that investigation is on. And at the right time, we get to know the outcome of this thing. I think that is what matters. Look, there are several ways in which, EFCC can cause an investigation. You can write a complaint. You can get it via intelligence, whether anonymously or somebody has written his name, whatever it is, and the EFCC has the powers to cause an investigation, when somebody has acted contrary to the provisions of the Act. But when somebody's lifestyle is, not commensurate with his sources of income, we can cause an investigation without complaint. So it's immaterial, Shewun, whether, I don't know how you call it, whether it was a bust, whether it was this, investigation is on, investigation is on. Whether it is by complaint, whether it is by bust, whether it is by intelligence, whether it is the EFCC that caused it. I think the most important thing that is the fact that we have seen that the laws of the country have been crossed, and we have commenced an investigation.
Let's get some commentaries there.
Mr. Barr, thank you so much for sharing this day with us, and we do hope that your men in the field will do that which you've sent them out and mandated them to do, as you said, between the mandate of prevention and the mandate of arrest. Hopefully, it will prevent a lot of crimes from being committed out there. But we'll look forward to seeing prosecutions and seeing those who have contravened the laws being punished eventually, especially also, as one of our guests here said, on your website. That information should be out there for others to see. Thank you so much, Mr. Bauer.
Thank you very much. Everybody can have his own opinion, but I think we should be trusted on our judgment here as the leaders of this place, looking at all the information that we have. And that is why we are arriving at decisions that, we are seeing out there eventually. So hopefully we'll have a nice day today, and we'll elect leaders at the end of the election.
Well, we'll look forward to that.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And just to let our viewers know that we're still hoping to hear from other presidential candidates, and we'll bring you footage of them voting in their various locations. We told you earlier, we went to Anambra State, we heard from our correspondent, and what is happening there. The presidential candidate came around and then moved on, but he will be coming back. That's what our reporter did give. But we also told you earlier in the day that you can also send us information, footage of yourself, pictures, videos of yourself in your polling unit casting after you've casted your vote. Of course, you cannot send us footage of you casting your vote and all of that. So send that into our social media platforms and our emails as well. But at this time, we would take a moment and we will be back.